How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a Football for Fun clip. We normally live stream on Wednesdays at about 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So if you really enjoy this content and don't want to miss a live stream, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. We're trying to grow our channel. We recently got 100. We are very proud. With that said, enjoy the clip.
Started for all the players this week, and kind of the big stories that are coming out of that is like the players who are like waiting on contracts, like who's showing up and who's holding out, like taking the fines and things like that. And TJ Watt is one of them who is not showing up to mandatory minicamp, which I think is understandable. He wants a new contract. He's already made a lot of money, so he's not really going to be affected by the fines or anything like that.
Sure.
But TJ Watt is 30. He's going to be 31 in October during the season. What's up, Devin? How's it going? And yeah, so if you're Pittsburgh, like, do you? I've heard a lot like the past couple years that Pittsburgh should trade TJ Watt, just like get what you can get, and then like if you could like use those picks like move up for a quarterback, like knowing that the NFL's not Madden, and it's not just that just because you trade him doesn't mean you're gonna get like the first overall pick or whatever. But
Sure.
what do you think the Steelers should do with TJ Watt? Should they extend him? Should they trade him? Should they just like what
So
should happen?
I think they should at least be open to trading him because if you get that good of an offer that you can't refuse, then yeah, you go for it. So you might as well see if someone's willing to bite, right? And it's not like he's ancient. He's not past his prime. I'd argue he's still in his prime. I was also arguing last year he probably could have won Defensive Player of the Year. Give Pittsburgh a few more wins, I think he would have. But honestly, I think Pittsburgh should do all that they can to keep him. That man has carried that team to a winning record for the past few years. It's been the defense that's won them games, and he's easily the best player on that defense. It'd be a shame to let him go. I think he should be a Steeler for life at this point. It would be
Yeah.
weird to see him elsewhere. So I think they should pay the man. They should keep him in Pittsburgh for the rest of his career if they can. At a certain point, though, if I'm TJ Watt, I want out. I would probably go at least this season and see how you do with Rodgers, and then if that doesn't go well, then you go to a team like Buffalo or Baltimore. I'm not going to say the Chiefs, but you go to a team that's contending for a Super Bowl. So that's where I'm at. If I'm the Steelers, if I'm TJ
Right.
Watt, they should try to keep him. I would be very careful if I'm TJ Watt, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is kind of interesting because like I still think TJ Watt is one of the best defensive players in the league. I mean, he's like probably a little bit past his prime. He had a 22 and a half sack season in 2021, 23. In 23 he had a 19 sacks, and not to say that sacks are everything, but it's kind of like some other like statistics where it's like you have to go off something. Like am I going to like look at it like, "Oh, what's his pressure rate?" Like I'm not really that nerdy necessarily. Although
Okay.
this is football for fun. So we just kind of look at that. But you could also say that like he only had 11 and a half sacks last year, which is actually a little lower than I would have thought, which is
Yeah,
like
I
it's
thought I thought he
solid.
had
Like
more like 15, 16 sacks. That's
the year before he had 19. But it's like a solid double digit sack season, but for like TJ Watt standards, like you might be
right.
thinking like is his production kind of going down a little bit? What I would kind of wonder with TJ Watt, which I agree, I think he's been one of the best, defensive players in the league. Like when you think about those Steelers teams who are rolling out Mason Rudolph and Russell Wilson and like Kenny Pickett, whatever, like you think about how those quarterbacks were carried by the defense, and TJ Watt was very instrumental in that. Now it's not just him; they've had some other great defensive players like Cam Hayward, like Minka Fitzpatrick.
Right.
You could just name a bunch of them, but so you do have to respect that. But at the same time, theoretically, TJ Watt is a depreciating asset. So you kind of think like, is he gonna be this good in like 2 3 years? Could I just trade him now? But what you also have to think about is like, what could you get for TJ Watt? And is that player guaranteed to be like, 25 to 50% of like the value that like TJ Watt? Like clearly you're probably not going to be able to like say theoretically you just trade him for a first round pick. Um like is like you're probably not going to get TJ Watt with that first round pick. So it's just kind of like it's kind of a value play, I guess, if that makes sense. Um and I think it probably makes most sense. I don't know. It might make more sense to trade him if you think you can somehow package it to like get a quarterback next year.
Mm.
But there's no guarantee of that. Because what if you trade him to a team that's good? So say like, who would trade for TJ Watt? Just like,
Buffalo would be
the
my
Bills.
top
Yeah.
team. Yeah.
So like, you trade him to Buffalo, then like, let's say that you have a solid season but get bounced out of the playoffs. That's you have like the 18th pick or something like that, or not 18th, but like 22nd or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you have Buffalo's pick, which is probably gonna be like 29 or 30. You have 18 and 29. Are you really gonna use those as a package to move up to 5 and draft a quarterback? Probably not. So all that to say, I'm not sure. I mean,
Yeah, so with that
my
in mind,
gut,
actually, I would, if I'm the Steelers, I would probably extend him for 2 years if possible. Um,
Yep.
Write it out this year, see how he does. And then, given that Rodgers is probably only around for 1 year and you have to do something at quarterback, I probably would trade Watt. Maybe not for another pick, but I'd trade Watt and the first rounder to move up. I don't think I'd trade him before the draft. I think I'd wait for the draft and package him in a deal to move up. I think that would be a good approach.
Yeah. Okay, so when you say that you'd extend it for 2 years, are you saying that includes the upcoming contract year? So you'd have him
Yeah.
for like one more year?
Yeah, that
Okay,
way whoever
makes
gets
sense.
him isn't just having to extend him immediately, because that would be harder to pull that off, is what I'm thinking.
Right.
Then again, if he's just terrible next year, then no one's going to want the contract. But also, if he's terrible next year, it's not going to matter in a deal. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably agree with that. Yeah, my gut is that TJ will probably just get extended. I like your idea because I think it's also good for TJ Watt because you can kind of like just re-hit the market in like a year, and then you just kind of like you'll just make a lot of money that way. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe TJ thinks that he can get some like bigger extension with the Steelers, something like 3 years, 60 million or something like, or 60, no, like 3 years, 90 million would make more sense because he's probably in the market for like 30 million a year, something like that.
What is
I don't know
Trey
what the
Hendrickson asking for? Do you know off the top of your head? Because whatever he's asking for,
I
TJ
will.
Watt deserves more, I would say.
Yeah, who's recently got extended? Myles Garrett, right? So Miles
Oh, he got an
Miles
obscure amount of
Garrett
money.
contract. He got extended. Okay, so Miles is going for like 40 million a year.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's way higher than I thought. Yeah,
I don't know if I would give
casual
TJ
here,
40
football for
million
fun.
when he's obviously, the stats say he's going downward year by year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'd be quite going for 40. Because like Miles Garrett is like
He's a beast.
okay, he's only 29, which actually sneaky.
He's that old already?
He's only like a year older than TJ Watt.
Wait, how old is TJ?
I guess. Oh yeah, he'll be 30 in December. TJ Watt will be 31 in October.
Ah.
So there's not that much of an age difference. See, like when I heard that, I would thought Myles Garrett was like 27 or something.
Yeah, I
like
was
that.
thinking
like,
he
he's about
was.
to be
Yeah,
30.
that's wild.
Yeah, it has been a while since he got, because he was in that draft class with like Mahomes and Watson and like all that stuff.
Well, it's also crazy that Mahomes is that old too. Like, pretty soon he's gonna be the
Mahomes,
veteran in the league.
I know it is. I was actually kind of saying that I think in a top 10 quarterback video that's going to be out soon that like it is crazy that like Mahomes and that generation is like they're about to be 30 and it's like wow, like that's absolutely crazy.
It's insane, man.
I remember when they got drafted. It's so funny.
Yeah, me too. I remember watching them in college. Like that feels recent to me.
I know that's crazy. Yeah, that's insane. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. For all we know, maybe TJ Watt does like get some extension for like 35, 40 million a year or something like that. I mean, and that's probably about what Trey Hendrickson is asking for if I were to guess.
Yeah, my gut is he'll probably get traded or sign elsewhere at some point. I think it'll be sort of like with JJ. I feel like a lot of people expected him to be a Texan for life, but if he wasn't going to be a Texan for life, I feel like, at some point TJ is going to consult his brother, right? You would think. And JJ,
Yeah.
I wonder what JJ would tell him, because it's not like he found much success after leaving Houston. He randomly went to Arizona, and was that his last stop? I think it was.
Yeah, it was. And like randomly, he had a decent season his last year. I think he had 10 or 11 sacks or something like that. But I guess he just like I mean, you just never know. Maybe like it was just easier playing a different position because he like later part of his career played more like inside rather than like as an edge player. What I can say about the JJ Watt situation is like I mean, I feel like for all we care, like he retired as a Texan. Like obviously that didn't literally happen, but it's not like he went to another team, dominated for like a few years, and then like he's basically like a Texan for life. Like he's still involved with the franchise. I mean, I think I saw like on social media he went to the Texans like minicamp like this
Nice.
week. I think today
That's cool.
even. So like he's still like yeah, he's still like very involved with our franchise. And like I don't think anyone resents him for like leaving us for Arizona.
I think people
Because if you
understood
remember at
why
the
he wanted
time,
to leave.
yes, at the time, contextually, we were a dumpster fire. Like this was when like Deshaun requested a trade, and then it got like ugly with the like lawsuits and things like that. And like we had like David Collier as our head coach, so like I completely understood. Like I wasn't even like mad or anything like that. I was just like, I remember he announced on an Instagram video, I think that he was gonna he wanted to that he was gonna he requested to be released, and I was like, yeah, I understand that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's totally, even if he were to stay, like it's not like he's gonna like save our franchise him alone. Like obviously in the prime of his career he was a great player, but just so all that to say, I think TJ Watt, it's different context wise with TJ, because he's not in a dumpster fire organization. He's just in a situation where like, okay, maybe you won't win a Super Bowl, but you kind of have a chance to like maybe cement your legacy as like a lifetime Steeler. So it would be kind of interesting to see like just like what he does and like what his brother would tell him and things like that. I think that would be pretty interesting. I actually forgot. I was actually looking something up. Apparently Trey Hendrickson is asking for about 35 million annually, which makes sense. I mean, maybe he's not as productive as like Miles Garrett has been, but just kind of like right below to where it seems fair, and he's making his money.
I'm just
So
saying though, I'm giving TJ more than I'm giving Trey. I don't even care that Trey is younger. Give me TJ for more money than that. Honestly.
yeah, yeah, that seems about fair. Yeah, so we will see how that goes. I mean, I think yeah, my gut is that he'll be a Steeler, whether they like figure out a contract. I mean, I guess that has to be the case. Like they'll have to like work out a contract. I guess the question is, will it be like long term, like 4 years, or like a 2 year, then you can hit the market in another year type of deal. It'll be pretty interesting to see.
It'll have massive implications on the future, I'm sure. No doubt.
Yep, definitely.